guys, it's Savannah Fillerup, formerly known as Sister Fillerup, and I have some questions that I'm going to answer about my mission for you. I'm really excited to answer these. I had a wonderful, wonderful time on my mission. I was only out there for about 9 months, and I'm supposed to be out there for 18 months. So I will be going back out, probably to a different mission, but still very exciting. Mission is really hard, but it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, the most exciting thing, the most wonderful thing I've ever done. I was serving my mission in the Philippines Cauayan mission. The Philippines is a country made up of a bunch of islands in Asia. So I'll show you a little map here. You can see that this is the Philippines, and then this area is what my mission was. It's a really wonderful place. It's very green there, much more green than Colorado, and there's no snow. It's extremely hot and humid. So in all of my pictures, I'm really sweaty and my hair is really frizzy and curly. But it's very green, lots of palm trees, and lots of different animals everywhere. There's roosters, there's goats, there's these big animals called carabao. Carabao are like water buffalo. What else? Pigs, really huge pigs. There's lots of dogs everywhere, cats, just so many animals, and so it's very loud, lots of animal sounds all the time. I know that we are powerful, and I see these things. Get all those kambing.
Hindi ako kambing.
In the Philippines, they speak a language called Tagalog. And so I had to learn Tagalog to serve my mission in the Philippines, but it was worth it, even though it was really hard. If you want to know what Tagalog sounds like, I'm going to tell you. Hi, my name is Sister Fillerup, and I'm a missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It says this. Hello po, ako po ang missionary ng Simbahan ni Jesu Cristo ng mga banal sa mga huling araw. Ako po si Sister Fillerup. Nice to meet you po. So yeah, that's what Tagalog sounds like.
Hello! Hey, Glory, Sister Glory Lynn. Ay, kumari ko yun.
Kumusta?
Opo, kaya ano daw po kayo. Balik kayo sa bahay, gising na si Marcel.
Gising na daw. Sige. So, that is what Tagalog sounds like. It's kind of a wild language, but it's wonderful and I love it. And in the Philippines, people don't really drive cars unless you're super duper rich. And so the way you get around is on these things called a tricycle, which is a motorcycle that has like a sidecar attached to it. And what you do is you stand on the side of the road and you just go like this, and then a tricycle will stop, and you get in the tricycle and you tell them where you want to go, and then they take you there. And then when you get there, you give them like 20 pesos, which is equivalent to less than 50 cents. And then you get out and they go away and they go pick up somebody new. And that's how you travel everywhere, either that or walking. So that's a little bit about the Philippines. The children like to play outside a lot. And so they're always just messing around, doing whatever they can find. They'll be messing around with a stick. Just like drawing stuff in the ground. Chelsea, ilan taon ka na? 4 na? Matanda na.
Matanda ka na.
Sometimes they'll just have a flip-flop and they'll throw the flip-flop and they're trying to get the flip-flop. I never really asked how to play it, but they'll have the flip-flop and they'll just throw it, and I think they're trying to knock things over or things like that. That's one thing that they do. Another one, I can't remember what it's called, but I played it with some kids, there was 2 teams. One team that lined up here, and then the other team is kind of standing apart from each other. And then this team is trying to get all the way to the end without being tagged by the other team. The catch is the other team can't move. They just have to stand there and reach and tag them. And so that was always exciting, having to run through all the kids without getting tagged. I always lost. Another thing, they really love playing badminton. So if you've ever played badminton, it's the rackets with the little birdie and you play that. So they love playing that and just throwing around balls and messing around, and they're always playing games outside and doing crazy things like that. As for songs, I know there are some. Oh, there's one that's about, hang on, I'm gonna go get a charger. Okay. There's one that I learned when I was in the MTC that they were always really excited that I knew. And it goes, tong 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 pakitong kitong alimango sa dagat, malaki at masarap, mahirap mahuli sapagkat nangangagat. And then you change it so that the vowel changes. So instead of going tong tong, you go tang 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 pakitang kit pakatang katang alamanga sa dagat. I think that's how it goes. Anyways, but that's one of the songs they sing.
Sa'yo lang lalapit, kahit di ka na sa'kin.
Wow! Yan?
Samba kita, abutin ng Diyos, sa akin nagmamahal.
Yeah!
I also translated my favorite magic trick song into Tagalog, and a lot of kids like these really loved it. So here's a video of that. Ito po si Kapi, siya ay mawawala, pero kung mabait kayo, babalik siya na. Another thing they do with the kids, with the little babies, is they'll teach them how to open and close their fists. And so they'll go, close open, close open, close open, close open. Or they'll go, align, 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 align. And they get the little babies to touch fingers like that. So those are some of the things that the kids and the babies do. I know there's more, but I'm forgetting them because it's getting harder to remember. So I'm really glad I get to answer these questions. The most interesting thing I got to eat, oh boy. I got to eat basically every single part of a chicken, which was really fun. The first thing I ate was in the Manila MTC. It's called balut, and it's so popular there. It's everybody's favorite snack. It's an egg, but it has like a little baby duck inside the egg. It's not just the yellow yolk. And so they just eat that. Kind of gross, but it was kind of fun to do it anyway. So there's the pictures of that. The other thing that I got to eat was a chicken head, and I did not like it. I was okay with the balut, but the chicken head, pretty gross. So here's a video of me tackling that.
Yan.
Paano?
Yan, sige.
Mainit yan.
Doon natin mo isang bawang natin, lagyan ng ulam dyan.
Ilang taon ka na dito, sister, sa Pilipinas?
Sister. Kapatid. Si sister. Oh.
Can you eat?
Hindi ka mamamatay dyan. Ano ka ba?
Mga hospital lang.
Bukas po sa kami. Promise.
Aha.
Nagawa mo naman, di ba? Oh,
Ano yun?
ganun talaga.
And then on that same day, I also ate chicken blood and chicken intestines. And I would be okay if I never ate those again. The reason I ate them was because there was a lady that we were teaching her son. But in order for us to teach her son, she had to go to church with her son, and she wasn't going to church with her son. She was just sending him to church. And so one day we were passing by, and I stopped to talk to her, and she was like, "Sister, sit down. Let me feed you something. I want you to eat some chicken head." And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And she was like, "If you eat the chicken head, I'll go to church." And I was like, okay. And so I ate the chicken head, and the next day she went to church. It was very exciting. So that was a good time. Yeah, so I promise not all of the food is that bad. There was a lot of really, really delicious food, and they always eat with rice. If they don't have rice on the side, it's not a meal. And so they always have some sort of ulam with their rice. And ulam is just whatever goes on top of the rice. So there's adobo, there's chicken curry, there's corned beef, there's lots of different types of ulam. And for the most part, the food was really good, but I did not appreciate the chicken head. My favorite thing about the mission was the people. All of the people there are so nice and so welcoming and so kind. They love talking to you. They love getting to know you. And they're always willing to just strike up a conversation. You'll be walking in the middle of the road and you can stop and start talking to someone. They're very excited to be talking to you. They are just some of the most welcoming and wonderful people you'll ever meet. And I got to be friends with so many of them. I loved teaching people the gospel and seeing that light that Christ brings to people just seep into their lives. And it's something that happens so gradually that you don't really notice it until one day. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, they are so happy, they are so confident, they are so into it. And that was just really a wonderful thing to watch happen in these people's lives. I loved them so much. I also really loved it as part of the mission that it wasn't just these people that I was seeing their lives change, but I was seeing my own life change. I felt like I had some of that light seep into my life. Because how are you supposed to help somebody else have light if you don't have it yourself? And so that was really beautiful. I'm going to tell you about two. The first one is the Salas family, and they were in my first area. Rhoda and Jasmine Salas. Jasmine is 10 years old, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. But she loved the lessons. She loved them so much, and she was so smart, and she just would get it. And she would ask so many questions, and she would answer all of our questions. She brought out her little picture Bible, and she was showing it to us, and she was just so wonderful. I remember there was one time where we showed up to a lesson, and as we were walking to her house, Jasmine was coming home from school, and she saw us, and she caught up with us, and she was like, "Sisters, I was telling all my friends about the stuff that you're teaching. I brought my Bible to church or to school. I brought my Bible to school, and I was showing them everything, and I told them that, like, I want to become a Mormon." And I told her, "Jasmine, we have a prophet, and his name is President Nelson, and he has asked us to stop saying Mormon. He wants us to start saying the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because that's what this church is called." And she practiced so hard. Every single time after that, I'd be like, "What's the name of the church?" And she would be like, "The Church of Jesus," and I would help her, and she was so good. And I remember in that lesson, we came into the lesson, and we sat down, and we were going to teach them about, I think, about prophets or something, but instead they just bore testimony to us the whole time about how they could feel the Spirit when they were at church, and they just loved it so much, and it was a wonderful, wonderful moment, one of the happiest moments of my life. So that's one family that I absolutely love teaching. The other family that I love teaching was the Gulan family, and it started with a lady named Rosario. Rosario is 75 years old.
Ready? You've had a birthday, shout hooray!
Hey,
We want to sing to you today.
Hooray!
1 year older and wiser too. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
And back in the 80s or 90s, she used to go to church, at our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She was never baptized, but she went to church there a couple times. And then she moved away, and she didn't have a way to go to church anymore. She didn't know where the church was, and she didn't know how to get there. And so she stopped going to church with us, but she always missed that church. She would always go to different churches, but she said she could never feel the Spirit in the same way she did. Until one day, she saw us walking along the sidewalk, and she saw that we had name tags, much like the missionaries she knew beforehand, and that we were girls. She was too afraid to talk to the boys, but because we were girls, she came and she talked to us, and she invited us in to sit down and share to her and her family. And because of that, she was able to get baptized. And she was so excited to get baptized because she had been waiting for this for a really long time. And she was especially excited when we taught her about temples, that her family could be together forever, because her husband died a long, long time ago. And she was so excited that she could be sealed to her husband even though he was dead in the temple. And that's one of the most beautiful things that can happen, is that families can be together forever. And she knew this, and because of that, she was always trying to get us to teach everyone in her family. And so because of that, we also taught her granddaughter and her daughter-in-law, and they both also got baptized. And they have kids, and nieces and nephews and other siblings that they got us teaching to. And it was all because of Rosario, because Rosario stopped us and asked us to teach her. So those are some of my favorite people that I taught. I honestly feel like I did a pretty good job of preparing for my mission. Missions are really hard. There's some things that you cannot prepare for. But I would say to always work to study your scriptures. You can always become better friends with the Book of Mormon. And I know that's weird to say, becoming friends with the Book of Mormon, but it's true. Whenever I'm going through a hard time or I feel like I don't know where to turn, I know I can always turn to the Book of Mormon to find peace and to find happiness. I loved going to the temple to prepare for my mission. Right now, you guys are still waiting and preparing to be able to enter the temple, but you can always go visit there. And I know your parents would be happy to bring you to at least just visit the temple, so that you can be prepared to go inside someday. Sometimes I wish I would have prepared better to know how to receive personal revelation, to recognize the voice of the Spirit, so that when I feel its promptings, I know exactly what to do. And sometimes we think when it says the still small voice, that means we're actually going to hear words and they're going to tell us to do something, but sometimes that's not how it is. You have to rely on what you're feeling, and you have to be really quiet and really listen. And sometimes you're not going to know if it's the Spirit or if it's just you. But if it's a good thing, it's always good to follow it. And sometimes I wish I could have been a little bit better at doing that and just overcoming my fear and just following the Spirit. So maybe those are a couple of things: studying the scriptures, going to the temple, following the Spirit, and serving and loving others. Because you really have to know how to love others while you're on the mission. Because these people will sometimes do things that you don't like very much. They'll be rude to you sometimes and they won't want to listen to you. But you just have to love them anyway. Because that's what Jesus Christ would do. To finish, I just want to bear my testimony to you. I know this is Christ's church. Through Joseph Smith, he restored it. And this church has brought me so much peace and joy and love. I'm very grateful for it. It's hard too. It's hard sometimes. Life is hard. But we can always choose to believe and choose the right. I know the Book of Mormon is true. And I know that God has a plan for us. Gusto kong iwan sa inyo yung patotoo ko. Alam ko na ibinunumbalik ni Hesus Kristo yung simbahan na yung kaharian niya dito sa mundo. Ito siya. Ito po siya. Sobrang nagpapasalamat ako para sa ebanghelyo na ito. Kung wala yung ebanghelyo ni Hesus Kristo, naging iba ako. Kaya nagpapasalamat ako para sa kanya. Alam ko na mahal tayo ng ating Ama sa Langit. Hindi ko alam yung ibig sabihin ng lahat ng mga bagay, pero alam ko na mahal ng Diyos ang kanyang mga anak. Gusto kong iwan ito sa pangalan ni Hesus Kristo. Amen. Bye! If you have any questions for me, just tell your parents and they can text me or email me or Facebook message me or anything, and I would be happy to answer them for you or just talk. I'm just sitting here at home not doing anything, so if you want to FaceTime me, video call me, I'm all for it. I would love to talk to you. I miss kids.